I'm going to go over there and see if it's going out.
Okay. I'm gonna get rid of this thing actually, because I don't really need.
Yep. Working. Just make sure that people are.
Oh, apparently they can hear us already.
They can hear us? Oh, good. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Technical Difficulties with the Badgers.
All right. I think Allison is watching. So
Okay.
here's the thing about this. I don't know if you noticed. Move, Jojo. But you have global settings set up to where our microphone's being picked up. See? So
Yeah.
they can hear us right now. We're not
Yeah,
live
we
yet.
were-
All right. All right. No, I'm just saying we can. there's ways around this, but it's fine. So.
Yeah, remember we unmuted, so it's
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you can hear us.
It's okay. Yes, you
And
can
that's why I
hear
said,
us.
hello, everybody, and welcome to Technical Difficulties
Oh,
with the Badgers.
yeah, right. Never heard that before. Okay, let me just bring up the. Oops. I'm gonna bring up the YouTube so I can look at the live chat while we're.
Oh
streaming.
yeah, actually.
Then I can look at it on my phone,
I
right?
gotta mute
If-
my phone first, and then I'm
If I
gonna
can
do
get my
that
phone
too.
on the Wi-Fi. All right.
Actually, you can. Well, I don't know if you.
Let me.
Yeah, no, you can't because
People can hear us anyway. We're just gonna go live. So, okay. All right, and we are live on the show. What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of HBR News, but this time it's a little different. We are here in my apartment in Roanoke, and I am joined. My name is Brian. I'm joined by Hannah here. Hannah, say hello.
Hello.
Okay. Lauren behind me, and Dr. Randercam.
We are.
And Lindsay is behind the scenes, and JoJo is also. He's just staring at Mike, like they're on a deserted island, and he's like turned to a hot dog. You ever seen that in the old
Yes.
cartoons with the starving? Okay, let me move this
Is it
bottle
the
of
hat?
water out of the way. So I'm gonna try and bring up the live chat on my phone, and we're gonna talk about what we did. So I guess I'll start with Mike because you're right there. So and I'm gonna bring this up real quick here so that I can see the chat. Turn on my Wi-Fi. So okay. How do we do this? We'll talk about the misadventures first. So yeah, I do see people in the chat. Hello, J Robotai, Zeranx, Alex, Ulysses Account 23, Honey Badger Radio. That's Allison. Probably beaking at us for something. Blue Orange 22, Zeranx, and others. Hello, hello, hello. So, yeah, as you guys might not have known or known, we had met up yesterday for, we attempted to go to a rally.
In DC.
In DC on the day before. Now, I didn't make it to DC. We were driving up. I was driving up with Hannah. So what was the story? What happened yesterday? What was your experience?
Well, we went to DC to try to go to the rally. There was a rally in DC yesterday, and what we found was the longest queue of people anyone has ever seen. Imagine every line in every Disney World in the world, all in one line. It was snaking around several blocks and coming back. I estimated it was about a 7-hour queue. So we didn't get in. There was never any chance of getting in. But plus it started snowing and hailing on everyone.
How long do you think the line was? So it was packed. It was packed.
It was packed with thousands of people who had no chance of getting in.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted. We found the back of the queue eventually. I just wanted to shake people and go, "You're gonna be stood in the snow for 7 hours and then you're not gonna get in."
Plus, it was chilly up there, wasn't it?
Yes,
Very cool.
Yeah.
as predicted, it was not quite as bad, not quite the Arctic storm that some people thought it was going to be. But yeah, people turned up in their tens of thousands, which is a testament, really, to how popular Donald Trump is. That many people are willing to stand in ungodly weather for.
That sounds wild because he didn't get as many votes as Biden did in 2020. So, I mean, could you imagine what that inauguration, that rally looked like? There was probably like everyone in the South Americas and China and everything.
Yes.
Tens of people.
So, Lauren messaged me when I was in the car with Hannah driving up there. We were probably like halfway between Roanoke and DC, like an hour out or something. And Lauren was like, the line is crazy. You have to like drive into DC, park somewhere, get on a bus. I didn't even know what the story was. And then it was hailing. So,
Yeah.
Lauren, tell me what your experience was.
Yeah, so I mean that is basically it. Do you want me to hold it?
No, I'll hold it.
Yeah, so we got there. First off, we took the train in because there was nowhere to park. Everything was like shut down. Once you got into DC, all of the roads are blocked off, because it's the president, it's the inauguration. So we took the train in, which took about an hour, at least an hour.
Was it like a local train? Or like an Amtrak, like we're gonna train.
Yeah, no, it was a local train. They actually just extended the Silver Line all the way out into Leesburg, where my aunt lives. So it's a fairly new train system, which is very nice and clean, but and cheap. It cost like $5 to go and come back, which is just unheard of. You know what I mean? But yeah, the train ride took forever. We got there and it was all right. It started drizzling. We were walking around trying to orient ourselves, figure out where everything was because there was just so many people. And just walking around and seeing what there was to see, and then it started hailing like and then it started snowing, and it was like by the time we figured out where we were in line, we had one person who was like holding the line for us, right? And then we stepped out and went and had brunch or whatever, and we did all of that, came back, and she really was in the same spot. I mean, the line hadn't moved. It just gotten longer. So it was just a lost cause.
It was a cold mess, not a hot mess.
Yeah.
And but the funny thing is that as Hannah and I were, Hannah was driving, and I was in the passenger seat of the rental van. All I saw was the weather getting more and more like snowy and heavy, and it was just completely ridiculous. And yet, despite the weather, the place was packed. That's the crazy thing. And the people stayed there.
Yeah.
Like, we ended up going to Lauren's aunt's house and meeting up with her there, which is like, I don't know, like half hour away from DC, would you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we just watched it wasn't even the inauguration, it was a rally. We watched it on TV, on the internet. And it was, Lauren's aunt and her friend were very gracious hosts. It was cool. I was fine with that. And then Hannah and I came back like late that night. So, and then we tried to do a meetup today at the local bar, and they were playing the inauguration on TV, and you guys were watching it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't think. I think changing the schedule, which we didn't really have much of a choice because our original plan was to go around the periphery of the inauguration. Mainly, we wanted to get interviews with people because this was one of the things that was said about this election was that it was a record turnout of men. So I wanted to see what the men who voted for Trump, what their reasons were for voting, because I have my suspicions that a lot of it was they didn't want to go to war. I can't blame them. I wouldn't want to go to war. That was one of the reasons why I voted for Trump, was the Biden-Harris administration was taking us toward war. And I didn't see any change coming with Harris, so obviously, I was not going to vote for her. Even if she met my criteria for when I would vote for a woman, she fails at that. And I kind of suspect I was going to get some answers like that, but it would have been interesting to see if I got something different too. And so my goal was to get here and be able to ask people those questions. We didn't get to do that because once we changed the schedule, not everybody can change their schedule at the last minute, so we didn't get a lot of people showing up to talk to us. We actually weren't really able to have the open meetup that we wanted to. So that's kind of partly why we're doing this video.
Yeah, but it was still a worthwhile experience,
Yeah.
and I think that you can just look online for the reactions, which have been varied and strong for many, but also like not quite like what 2016 was. So I'm gonna look at some comments on the chat here. So I'm using my phone to look at you guys saying stuff just to see. So Jay Robotai, I hope that I'm pronouncing that correctly, says Beavis left office and Hannah still wears a Beavis and Butthead shirt.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Butthead is still the governor of California.
Let's see. Someone named Useless Account 23 says, oh, he's responding to Blue Orange. I'll just read something else. Great Indoor says, does this meetup count as activism, by the way? Asking for a not friend. Well, I didn't have my sandwich board on me, so
Yeah.
I guess
But
not.
We
It doesn't
didn't have
count.
access to sandwiches, so.
Well, I know I
We
didn't have
kinda
any
got
sandwiches
close.
either.
It was kind of sandwich adjacent.
I'm
They
still-
had sandwiches at the restaurant.
They
yeah.
did. I just didn't get one.
Yeah,
I got
we-
nachos because I'm a beaner.
That's not your problem.
Jin says, I liked your closed collar, doctor. Oh, he's bundled up because it's chilly.
It's
Yeah.
a bit chilly still.
Are you cold in here?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, actually, it's not as bad as it is in DC here in Roanoke.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's actually not as bad here in Roanoke as it is at home where I come from. It'd be about 20 degrees colder, I think.
Honey
Pretty
Badger,
close.
Allison is asking, what did the crowd look like? I didn't see it. You guys did. Did it have a vibe? What was the vibe? Was there violent, like, KKK members and various, like, Virginia battle flags and burning crosses?
Did not see any of that. There was a guy on a table singing, and I'm proud to be an American. You'll find that at every rally every 5 minutes or so. But yeah, it was some good vibes, despite the awful weather.
Yeah.
Yes, but what about khaki pants or polo shirts? Because if there was one pair of khaki pants there, that's basically fascism. I'm just saying.
It's obviously fascism.
Obviously.
Yeah.
I mean,
Everyone-
I would not.
Everyone doing a
They're
Nazi
very
salute.
Yes, they're
Everywhere
very.
you look.
Oh my god.
It's a joke. Okay, so Jeffrey says, how didn't I get notified that you were meeting up in DC? Yeah, it didn't happen in DC, but what the original plan was I was hoping that we would do a meetup here in Roanoke the day before the inauguration at Five Guys Burgers and Fries because I thought it was poetic.
Yeah.
And then like the day of we'd go. But the rally threw people off. Because there was a rally before the inauguration, and I think there's like another party.
There's another rally after.
After the inauguration, just to throw another bit of confusion in there. So yeah, but I mean, next time we'll definitely do another one, maybe when it's warmer, and then try to find a better place to do it, some place different like Ohio.
The great indoors. I am a grandma. So that's quite appropriate. I am a grandma. Not trying on my grandkids' clothes though. But, yeah, I am a grandma.
All right. On a scale of 1 to masculine, how fascist was it? Oh, well,
99.
if it is in any way masculine, it's automatically fascist.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you know that one of the people, is it Pete Hegseth?
Yeah.
Who is the Attorney General? No. What is Pete Hegseth's
Something to do with the
position?
military.
Something to do with the military, right? The military guy. People are sharing his tattoos, and he has a tattoo of this cross, and they're saying that this is literally like Hitler shit.
Yeah.
This cross. This is a Jerusalem cross, right? It's not at all that. It's more Deus Vult and less, 1488. But yeah, that I saw
They were
people
trying to
were
associate
flipping
it
out
with
about
the
that.
Crusades. So.
Was it a rally for
Yeah.
Trump? Yes, but like the thing is, the reason why I think, to Hannah's point from before, this is really about like if men came out in record numbers to vote in this election and it resulted in that outcome, then you have to ask the question, why? What is it that motivated men to get off their ass and go to the polls? Pokemon, go to the polls. What was it that did it? And I think it was like what Hannah was saying. There were issues, and I've been saying it leading up to the election, that are specifically going to impact men. One of them being they didn't want any more endless wars, and that was what all the previous administrations were bringing, except for this one. And yeah, men have an interest in not getting involved in wars because it's men's blood that is on the line. Like that is like. If you think about like the list of men's issues, war is up there. It's I don't know if it's the number one, but it's up there.
It makes you tired of hearing boots on the ground. If you're not going to talk about human beings being sent to war, and you're going to use a phrase like that, please start saying asses on the line, because that's what it is. Their asses are on the line, their lives are on the line, and they have every right to want the best negotiator in there. And I don't think Kamala Harris could negotiate her way out of a paper bag.
Well, she wasn't running the country.
Right.
We know for sure now, by the way.
She would have she still would have been the one going, and she still would have been the one in the meeting. She might be doing with even what the goals would have been that the individuals puppeting her wanted might not have happened, because she was one of those people. She's one of those people that when she talks, it just pisses you off to hear her talk. She just has that kind of grating. It's like all the things that made Franny Dreschler cute without the cuteness, right? And it would have been a disaster for America's military, and that would have been a disaster for the world, because when you misuse America's military, you start world wars. Mm-hmm. And we've seen that throughout the last century.
Yeah, and if you see men as disposable tools to be used in these endless wars, you're more likely to start them because you're not worried about like what the cost of that is, So like, I think that there are men who are like, we know that the state doesn't really see value in us. They see us only as two things: cannon fodder and money, like essentially taxable, resources. And I think that's why they voted. I think that was what the thing I wanted to like see for myself, but I'm fairly certain that's still true. I think that that's what this all boiled down to.
I think a lot of men voted for Trump because they wanted to see justice against certain individuals like Mark Milley, Anthony Fauci, the entire J6 committee, the entire Biden family. But you all know what happened about that. Yeah.
What do you think that this is going to be controversial, but I don't really think it is myself, but do you think that that desire for justice is a more masculine thing? Because I do. I want to know what you guys think.
I think so. I think women tend to be more vengeful. They want revenge. They don't necessarily want justice. I think men actually are the ones that want to see the right thing being done. Women just want to win.
Yeah. All you have to do to understand that is look at how things are done in family court, right? Most of the time, when you have a parent who is vindictive, who starts manipulating the family court, who starts lying about the other parent, and using the children as a means of bludgeoning or punishing the other parent, it's a woman. Most of the time, that's the woman. Men do it sometimes, but it's almost always the woman. And it's a very big difference right there. Like, they care more about revenge than they do about the welfare of their children. Mm-hmm. So they obviously are going to care more about revenge than they do about justice.
Yeah, Allison says, what did JoJo do during the inauguration? He was here alone. We left him. He was fine, though. He had a bone to chew on.
Gin Bottle says, my own mother said men want justice, women want peace. Some women want peace.
Yeah.
Women who have seen true horror and violence, women who have been in hellish situations in third world countries or in neighborhoods where there's constant violence, they want peace. But spoiled women, middle class women, upper class women, women who have never seen a day of violence in their life, who've never been through anything, don't understand how bad it can get, and will set things off and then be, they won't necessarily feel guilty about it, but they'll regret other people knowing that they did that. And they don't want peace. They want revenge. They want to be mean. They want to hurt whoever they feel like disrespected them. You don't even have to hurt them. I wish I could say women want peace. But if women wanted peace, we'd have had the largest female turnout for Trump, too.
Yeah.
And what we had was women all over the country rallying to vote to protect the right to kill their babies. And it doesn't matter whether you support that right or you're against that right. Is it really more important than whether or not America goes to war? Because, like I said, if America goes to war, America drags the whole world in. And it's men who lose their lives primarily. But that also harms women and children. So women would have thrown everyone in the world under the bus in order to do something that they have every capacity to prevent the need for. I don't really think that peace is on a lot of their minds.
No. I don't think that they want peace at all. I think when women think about peace, the only peace that they want is they want their safety maintained. They want their way of life to be, untouched and unblemished. You know what I mean? They want to be able to do their own thing, live their own life. That's the peace that women want. To hell with the rest of the world. You know what I mean? If there's a war, they don't care if it doesn't affect them. You know what I mean? Directly. So no, they don't. Women want peace. No.
Well,
so let me know, guys, in the chat if the audio's okay. I just wanted to make sure you guys can hear everybody fine and that my microphone is working okay. All right. So
do you think if Hillary got in, there would have been world peace? Do you think if Kamala got in, there would have been world peace? Very probably not. In fact, they seem to be the only ones who didn't get a pardon from Biden. We may have a couple of sacrificial lambs in our future. Let's just pile all of these crimes on those two.
Remember what Hillary Clinton said about Gaddafi. And that this was an individual we had made promises to as a nation. Like, not us as citizens, but our government. So they lied to him. And they didn't really have a solid reason to do what they did. But she bragged about it. We came, we saw, he died. Like, that was a great thing they did. Hillary Clinton was a warmonger.
Yeah, I mean, most of the people in Washington are warmongers. They want forever wars. I think this was, especially with men, a referendum against that, saying, we're not fighting your wars anymore. I mean, we saw it when they, when they started putting out this, like, I don't know, military propaganda with, like, this animated thing with, like, oh, my two moms and all that. And that was when we weren't at war. And then when we were, when, like, the Russia-Ukraine conflict blew up and October 7th happened, all of a sudden there were, like, tough white dudes and heavy metal music playing, and people were chugging beers because they wanted men to go to war, like actual people that are going to be effective and not people who insist on they're essentially going to join the military so they can get their, like, surgeries done and they can get, like, their, hormones for free or whatever. So, I wanted to look at some of because I'm going to try and do something of a news show to this. So Twitter had a lot of opinions, and I want to read some stuff and get your thoughts on it. So this is Ari Drennan, I don't know who that is. And but they they have a check mark, which is meaningless anyway because you just pay for it. And says Trump's day one executive orders reportedly include directives which will likely take time to implement on pronouns, prison inmates, and passports, but nothing for now affecting the ability of most trans Americans to obtain medical treatment. And then it says, I'm just going to read the screenshots and then I'll get you guys' reactions. Here's what the order sets out. The executive order establishes government-wide the government-wide biological reality of two sexes and clearly defines male and female. So they're not even going to get like, type A or B military people. It's like male or female. All radical gender ideology, guidance, communication, policies, and forms are removed. Agencies will cease pretending that men can be women and women can be men when enforcing the laws that protect against sex discrimination. Woman means adult human female. That one seemed to be directed at that Supreme Court judge. Ketanji. The executive order directs that government and identification like passports and personnel records will reflect the biological reality and not self-assessed gender identity. The executive order ends the practice of housing men in women's prisons and taxpayer-funded transition for male prisoners. The executive order ends the forced recitation of preferred pronouns and protects Americans' First Amendment and statutory rights to recognize the biological and binary nature of sex. This includes protection in the workplace and in federal-funded entities like schools. The executive order does not address one of the most contentious areas of transgender activism, gender-affirming care for minors, meaning putting gender-distressed young people on a swift course to transition and lifetime medication. The Biden administration ardently supported such treatments even as other Western nations began to restrict them and dozens of U.S. states began to ban them. So the only thing I'll say about that last bit is that, remember, this is executive orders that are essentially only going to affect the federal government. Trump can't pass laws in states. He can't make, being trans illegal. All he can do is, work within his capacity to do so. But of course, people are freaking out about this, and some people are having a lot of fun trolling. Like, they're basically like, there are only two sexes. It's in law now. It's the law now, guys. Remember in Canada when they said they were going to, was it Bill C-16? And they were like, oh, we're not going to use this against people. And then as soon as they pass it, they're like, it's the law now. So if you don't want to go to jail, use my pronouns. Yeah. They're just flipping that on them. So anyway, what do you guys think about these comments? I'll start with Hannah on this time.
Well, I'm not worried about the bit about minors being excluded because that's really something that needs to be handled through the education system. The education system is where it's being done. Minors are being transitioned inappropriately. They're not being treated for mental health conditions. They're having them inflicted on them. And educators are convincing boys and girls that if they're gender atypical, they must be trans. And that's not true. You can be completely gender atypical and not have any dysphoria at all or any leaning toward being trans or non-binary. I couldn't think of the other one. The word for trans but not trans.
It's kind of the opposite of trans. I don't know why they haven't this is going to come to a head,
it's
guys.
Like trans life.
You're either you're either the spectrum or you're participating in the binary, right?
Yeah. And the non-binary thing, I think that was invented for people to feel included when being trans became something. It went from being something unusual and strange to a lot of people. It became something special, and they treated it like it was something special in school. So if you didn't want to be trans, but you wanted to pretend sometimes that you were, you call yourself non-binary. And unfortunately, because students have been manipulated that way and are being manipulated that way, you really can't address it with something in law that or in an order from the president, an executive order that tells the government what the government's going to do. He's put somebody in place in the education department that's going to do two things that's going to address this. The first one is to remove the policies that facilitated it. And the second thing is going to be kicking the education department back to the states, which is important because nobody in DC is going to be as dedicated to your kids as you are in your local community. And if they kick it back to the states will in many cases leave a lot to the counties and the local municipalities, and it'll be the people in the local area that are dealing with these issues. And it's going to be a lot harder for some network in Washington or the teachers unions or any other large network to come along and impose these things, because you're going to have involvement from parents locally. So that'll just it'll be better to handle it that way than it will trying to handle it through the federal government, and it'll prevent the ability of some other aspect of the federal government from coming in and putting the kibosh to whatever Trump says to do in his executive order.
Lauren?
I think it's great. I find it hilarious that people are absolutely frothing at the mouth over this, over something that affects less than 1% of the population, who apparently are all in the military.
Yeah,
There's
right.
something like
Well,
15,000 trannies in the military. Like, what?
Well, not. I don't think trans men are in the military. I think it's just trans women.
Trans women,
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, but no, good.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Well, I mean, it's like my thing is it's not really about like, I mean, in a way, it's a men's issue because I think that the trans agenda is going to impact men and boys. I made this comment in my personal Discord where people were talking about, like circumcision, right? And how how awful it is and barbaric it is, and I agree with all that. But I also said, the funny thing about circumcision is that I think that there is probably some cause to think or see a downstream pattern from normalizing the mutilation of boys' genitals to normalizing the mutilization of boys' and girls' genitals and their secondary sexual characteristics in order for them to identify another way. Because I think that if we stigmatize circumcision, I think that it will also, because it's essentially preserving bodily autonomy, we'll also see people who think that they're living in the wrong body as also sort of traumatized or otherwise we'll see that as something that needs to be treated and addressed in another way other than just giving them what they think they want, because a lot of this stuff is a product of childhood trauma. I know that there are many people who ended up becoming trans women, and it had to do with their sort of living with circumcision that was botched in some way. In fact, the whole thing started from a botched circumcision. Mm-hmm. Remember? It was John Money, and he had those two boys, and one of them had a botched circumcision, and that led right into it. That's what I mean. I think that there's something.
When he got older, he committed suicide. He killed himself.
Well, they both did. Yeah. But because of all the gross, weird stuff that John Money did to them. And so I think that there's a relationship between that, and in a way we have to try to address this from starting from the point of truth. Can a man become a woman and can a woman become a man? The answer is no. And why are we normalizing this? It just is. It's just not true. So
there's another aspect to this. The phenomenon of people willingly going through this process as a means of treating dysphoria and the experience of dysphoria itself may start with a major difference in society's attitude toward atypical women versus atypical men, which is why it used to be much more rare to meet a trans man than to meet a trans woman. Mm-hmm. Until schools started grooming girls into being trans boys, it was you almost never ran into trans men, until they tried to treat it like it was something special.
Fashionable, even.
Fashionable. It was always, tons and tons of trans women per trans man. And I think the reason is, you can be a tomboy, you can be butch, you can be extremely feminine, you can be completely goofy, you can be very serious, you can be very respectable, you can be a complete nutter hoe, and you still identify as female and feminine. And nobody will tell you you're less of a woman, you're less female, or you're less feminine for being very different from all of the other women around you. They won't tell you that there's something wrong with you as a female. They might say you're disrespecting yourself, or you're not taking care of yourself, or have you tried this? You'll be more popular or more successful at something, but you don't get you're acting like a boy, shame on you. Something's wrong with you. But guys, all a guy has to do is have the wrong hobby, and suddenly he gets picked on, or wear the wrong color, and he gets picked on. Say the wrong thing, like the wrong thing, have the wrong attitude about something and be seen as unmasculine when he's making his own decisions. He's not being beta, or to use that kind of language. He's living his own life and making his own choices. And it's not unmasculine to prefer pink over blue, or cooking over working on cars, or growing flowers, or any number of unusual things that people, not everybody does, right? But people associate with femininity. Crochet, wanting to take ballroom dancing. Like, there's a lot of strength involved in that, by the way. But guys get shamed for every little thing they do. And one pathway out for somebody who has a highly unusual personality, highly unusual dislikes and likes, highly unusual social habits and everything, maybe a little more fastidious than other guys, is to identify as a woman, because those behaviors are all acceptable when women do them, because you have a broader spectrum, pun intended, of behaviors that are expected of women, or acceptable when women do them. And if we didn't box men in like that and say, well, you do something a little different, you can't identify as a man anymore, and treat men like they're less manly for things that aren't irresponsible, they're just unusual, that aren't useless, they're just not what everybody else finds a use for, that maybe we wouldn't have seen the growing incidence of transgender lifestyles in people during the 90s and the aughts, and we wouldn't have had the door open for the gender mafia to start transitioning children.
Yeah.
All
right, Mike?
Well, it's fascism, clearly. Not federally funding sex changes for prisoners and children. That's what fascists do. That's the first thing Mussolini did when he came to power. That was Franco's rallying cry. There are only two sexes, not 2,000. Oh wait, no one even argued about that until 10, 20 years ago. Maybe y'all are the crazy ones. Because for all of human history, there has only been two sexes. No one even argued about that. But no, this is where the Overton window has moved to. It's sex changes for prisoners and children, funded by the federal government, or you're a fascist.
All right, and no story on our show would be complete without a media firestorm around. I guess we elected a convicted felon and rapist into the White House. So
he's got street cred.
He's got street cred. So Rolling Stone, I'm not going to show this, but Rolling Stone reported that literally today, convicted felon sworn in as president. Donald Trump was sworn in as the 47th president of the United States inside the Capitol Rotunda on Monday, despite being a convicted felon. And in particular, this is why it's relevant, because of all of the grape allegations that were flying around that he obviously did because, what's her name? E. Jean Carroll said so after watching an episode of, what was that show? She got it from Law and Order.
Law and
SVU. Yeah, SVU, yeah. And then we have this. I want to play it. I don't know if you guys are going to hear it.
Just before you play that, I want to remind everybody something.
I'm not going to the Inauguration.
Oh, yeah, that's right. This
The same magazine published... This is from a long time ago, but y'all remember the... Whoops.
Oops, sorry. Oh, and I know. The Duke Lacrosse, right? Yeah.
No. The Boston bomber. The Boston Marathon bomber. The younger Boston Marathon bomber. They put his picture on the cover of the Rolling Stone as if he was a celebrity. They made him look like, some kind of a heartthrob. And actually, if I remember right, wrote an article about how much women just love this kid that got him... His brother got him involved. And how many people he killed and everything. And just, they celebrated that guy. And they're mad about Trump. So that kind of tells you the respectability of the Rolling Stone.
Yeah, and also they reported the Duke Lacrosse case,
they,
which only just like a couple weeks ago the woman involved came forward and said, "Yeah, I lied."
Yeah. After everybody
know,
already
bitch,
knew.
we know.
Everybody knew she lied.
Well,
Everybody
yeah, but now that's the thing. Like, they always wait and they say it later, and people are like, "Duke Lacrosse, what was that? I don't even know what that is."
Yeah.
And that's what's gonna happen. Like, E. Jean Carroll, like, oh my God, that was like one of the worst allegations ever, and they're still like, after all of this, they're still like, "Oh, that totally happened." Convicted felon. Here's another one. This is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and she was approached. I'm going to try and point this at the screen, but you're probably not going to be able to see it. And this is what she said about the inauguration or the rally. I don't know, whatever. So let me play it.
All these journalists are like, "Congresswoman, are you going to the inauguration? Congresswoman, are you going to the inauguration? Are you going to the inauguration?" Let me make myself clear. I don't celebrate rapists.
You're gonna get sued.
Take that.
Sue the shit out of her.
Yeah.
Sue the shit out of
Yeah.
her, Trump.
I don't know if you can, but I mean, she probably was just scared to go because you remember the last time she got killed like 7 times.
Yeah.
She must have put in that Konami code so she
Yeah.
can keep coming back.
She has the Kamimi code.
Yeah. Let's see what else. Yeah, people were having fun about this online. At least the ones that have a sense of humor. But some were. It was a very dark day because Project 2025 is coming, guys. Like, no matter what they tell you, no matter what it looks like, you're just being deceived.
Yeah, somebody better get a tarp. That's going to be messy.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was that excited.
God. I should have known. I'm going to try and bring the chat back up. So, somebody else say something. Here, Mike. Take that.
Yeah.
Put you on the spot.
Put me on the spot. I'm sober as a judge right now. I can't think of
Wait, sober
every
as a
thought
judge,
that's
that's
coming into
great.
my head
Ohio.
is just, no, Mike, that's stupid, don't say that.
What?
No, Mike,
Well,
that's stupid, don't say that either.
no, just say what's stupid. That's what this show is about, I think.
I just did.
Do you want me to give you some news?
Yeah, give me some news. There you go. Serve a purpose. Help me out, babe.
Sir,
God, do something, woman. And while you're at it, give me a sandwich. I'm trying to open the. Don't bring me a sandwich. I don't want one. I'm trying to bring up my the video. If anybody else can do it on their phone, because my
live
phone,
chat?
like, it does this thing. Yeah, this does this thing where I just can't access my data. Thanks, Patriot.
So Havoc wants to know if the Rolling Stone magazine always pandered to women or if that was more of a recent thing. The Rolling Stone used to write about music. It used to be.
I remember that.
There was a song on the cover of the Rolling Stone that was about music. The magazine was about music. The song was about being celebrated for your music. It didn't pander to one sex or the
You
other.
want my
It was
phone?
just about music.
No,
It was
stay there.
about great music.
It's okay.
And so, now it seems to be about pop culture in general, and it's about manipulating pop culture. So, I don't know if it predates the Duke Lacrosse thing or if it started with that, but they really haven't been all about real pop culture or music for a long time. Long time, yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, basically all of our media is all platforms for activists now. It has been for like a long time. So maybe once upon a time, Rolling Stone was a magazine about music, but also once upon a time, like IO9 was about tech and geek stuff, and IGN used to be about video games. But like none of that's true now. All right, give me some news, babe. Tell me. I see you said you offered, and now you're like giving me the oh my god face. I'm not
Well,
ready.
it's all Trump executive order stuff.
Let's hear them.
Let's hear it? Okay.
Yeah, let's hear some executive orders.
All right.
I'm gonna have to point it at her.
Trump says he's withdrawing the U.S. from the Paris Climate Agreement again.
Good.
Yes.
That's Project 2025 fascist stuff, from what I understand. Not getting involved with giant global programs is fascism. Or something. It's the woke right.
If the U.S.
No. Go ahead. Let.
I was going to say, if the U.S. really wants to get involved in environmentalism and do something positive for the environment, like there's a big pile of plastic out in the Atlantic Ocean, I think it is, that we could pay some attention to. I actually have heard since the start of people paying attention to that there is now an ecosystem in the big floating pile of plastic. So it might be a little bit difficult because, you know, that stuff's supposed to not happen, right? Plastic is anti-life, right? So, yeah, something like that we might be able to pay attention to instead. Something real.
If the kind of bacteria that can eat plastic evolves, we are all screwed.
That's
working
already
on that,
happened.
Elon?
Oh,
That has already happened.
Oh dear.
Yeah, that has already happened.
Well, work on destroying those bacteria, Elon.
all right. What else, babe? What's another executive order?
I got a list of them. Here,
Do you want to send it to me? Okay, here, pass it over. I'll just read it. Lindsay's a little camera shy, but she is here. All right. Immigration and border. Some of this stuff's already happening, by the way. I don't know,
Yeah.
like,
That's supposed to be the list of things he signed day one.
yeah,
but I
Dave.
don't
Well,
know.
he said he was going
He
to do
said
that.
he had a big pile of them.
Yep,
Yeah.
I got a big list. National emergency at the border. Trump said during his inaugural address that he would sign an executive order declaring a national emergency at the southern border and ordering the Department of Defense to more heavily allocate resources and manpower to it. All in favor, say aye. Okay. I mean, like this is just, I don't even like, is this a men's issue? Maybe not, but is it common sense? Yes. Remain in Mexico. His White House will also re-implement his Remain in Mexico policy in a day one executive order, he said. A measure from his first term. It returned about 70,000 non-Mexican asylum seekers across the border to Mexico to await hearings. And I wanted to also say that there's like this special app that illegals were getting on their, that they were, you know, downloading to use to like cross the border, right? And like I think it was like right when it happened, like right when the inauguration happened, the app was taken out of the store. It was shut down. They couldn't use it. Okay, I forget the name of it. It's like C something 5 or something app, and they could use it to cross the border. And here's the kicker though, in order to counter propagandize or like to propagandize in favor of the immigration, like, you know, this like border, it's not even immigration, they're just walking through. In order to counter that Trump's like action, they put out, and this is an important point, they put out a viral video. They put out a viral video of a woman crying at the border when learning that she's no longer be able to enter, and it plays for, you know, like 15 seconds long. And this is like important because this is how, you know, this is how they manipulate your emotions. They make it look like, oh look, you're closing the border. Look at this poor woman crying and sobbing loudly. You guys should let her in, right? Like there's literally like, oh no, she's crying, burn the Constitution.
Man,
Yeah, you know they really screwed up doing that. If the White House has a good counter propagandist, all they have to do is put that up against the tears of the parents whose children have been murdered by
Or
cartel
trafficked.
members.
Yeah.
Yeah, or the children who have been trafficked, because there's been quite a bit of them. And this is a men's issue in two ways. One way is some of those children that are being trafficked, some of the adults that are being trafficked for labor. In fact, most of the adults that are being trafficked for labor are men, right? And most of the children that are being trafficked for sex are boys. And in addition to that, you also have adults being forced to mule drugs across the border, and it's usually men that are told, you know, do this or we'll kill your family. So this is a men's issue in that way, but it is also a men's issue in that when cartel members come across the border and they move into people's neighborhoods and they create a threat to the people around them, the people who are expected to be protecting their families, their homes, their friends, their neighborhood, the ones that are out patrolling as neighborhood watch that got hastily formed because all of a sudden there's gang presence in their neighborhood and there never was before, those are men. Those are not usually women. It's not usually the moms. It's usually men because they're the ones that people are willing to see take the risk.
All right. If you guys are sending super chats, by the way, or super chows, I may not be able to get them. So if Allison is watching, I want you to tell me when a super chow goes through and maybe like copy pasta it into the live chat because I can't look at them because I'm in the living room and my normal work spot is in the second bedroom, which is really small and we wouldn't all fit in there. So that's why we're here. So I'm not ignoring your super chows or super chats if you send them. I just can't look at them, so I don't know what they say. I'm literally looking at the live chat on YouTube as it goes on my phone while I'm looking at the list of executive orders on Lindsay's phone, and Hannah is looking at them on her phone. So I don't have access to my machine.
By the way, Sits Like In You says CH or CBP1 might be the ad.
Yeah, that's the app. Yep. All right. So that's it for that. Okay, next is terrorism designation for gangs and cartels. Let me know when I get to something really fashy, by the way. I know, but other than everything I've read so far. The president will officially designate cartels and international gangs as foreign terrorist organizations, according to his inaugural address. Central American MS-13 and Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. You gotta roll your R's. Tren de Aragua will be added to a list that includes Al-Qaeda, the so-called Islamic State, and Hamas. Why is it called so-called? Is there no Islamic State? That's like putting it in scare quotes. The Islamic State. Yeah, they're so-called.
Yeah.
Again, okay, like this is what what's his name? The president of El Salvador did. He just said we're going to put him in jail.
His name?
Bukele. That's right. Yeah. So I hope that we do that, but build the prisons in Venezuela. I think send them there. No matter where they're from. Didn't Trump say something like that? Maybe jokingly. Where he's like, we'll just take all the illegal gangs, regardless of where they're from, and put them all in Venezuela. Yep.
Give a few to Israel. I just want to see what they say.
We're gonna get banned. Don't you want to? Yeah, diversity is your strength, isn't it? Okay. Next, resume wall building.
There we go.
When Trump was first elected president in 2016, he signed an executive order to build a border wall. It just got 10 feet higher. Although parts of the wall have been built, there is still much left uncompleted, and an official told reporters before the inauguration that Trump would issue a directive to finish what he started. Well, yeah, that's what he does. Thoughts on the wall? Tear it down. That's fascism, right?
Well,
like the Berlin Wall.
I mean, it's going to make things safer for a lot of men. They won't have anybody to defend their neighborhoods from. You know, it's not everywhere, obviously, because there are also American gangs, but they'll be the only gangs.
Yep.
Wasn't the Berlin Wall built by literal communists? So interpret it.
When you build a wall to keep people in, so I think that's different, right?
Well, and they're still going to let people in. You just have to come in legally instead of illegally. That's all.
Okay. Next is end birthright citizenship. Trump has called the constitutional right that says anyone born in the U.S. soil is an American citizen ridiculous. Trump officials also told reporters that the president would deny birthright citizenship to the children of immigrants who are in the U.S. illegally. But doing that could prove much more difficult than simply issuing an executive order and is expected to face legal challenge. Well, of course it will, but it's still a good idea because I do think that that's something that can be exploited, and it has been exploited, right? Course, yeah. So anyway, anybody want to say anything about that?
It's not like these kids can't be educated. So if they're going to do this, they don't have to take people who have gotten to the age of 5 or 10 or 15 and only speak English and just dump them in Mexico, which is what's being said. They can have a procedure and a policy, and I sincerely doubt that they will do that. But they could have a procedure and a policy. They could figure out, a difference between a newborn baby and a 15-year-old or an adult, and help people be prepared if they're getting deported, and choose to not deport people that are completely assimilated into American culture. It doesn't have to be black and white. And I think the only reason it's being discussed as a black and white thing is because that makes it easier to condemn.
Jojo, you have any thoughts? All right.
Bork, bork.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think that it's something that can be exploited. There's definitely like a better way to do it. than simply let everyone who did that stay. And I remind everybody, and this is something that's important to consider. We're always talking about how hard it is to get into the U.S., but it's literally harder to get into Mexico, like legally, and Canada, which everyone's always threatening to do. They're like, I'm going to go to Canada. Well, good luck. That their immigration process is a little bit harder. I mean, unless you're unless you're an H-1B visa. Anyway, so next we got death penalty for certain immigrant criminals. Now that he's in office, officials said that Trump will direct his attorney general to seek the death penalty for any unauthorized immigrant who is found guilty of murdering law enforcement officers or other capital crimes. So basically, like, treating them like other criminals, domestic, that cause. If you murder, then you get the death penalty. But this, I guess, is how they're doing it at the federal level. So there's gonna be deportations, closing the border on health grounds. There's a lot. A lot of climate things. Pulling out of the Paris Agreement again. National energy emergency. He said that in officials. Let me see. What is he gonna do? He's gonna drill. So I don't know. People have opinions on that. I think that we should be moving towards nuclear power, if anything, but not super relevant. End the Green New Deal. Yes, please. It's stupid. Let's see. He's got tariffs, crypto pile. He's championing cryptocurrency. Can somebody help me out with that?
So the big question then becomes: is he going to champion cryptocurrency by facilitating trade, or is he going to champion it by regulating it? Because that's not necessarily championing it. It's going to be something to watch. I don't really get into trading cryptocurrency. I have a very small amount that I've bought because it's fun to watch it bounce up and down a lot.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I'm momentarily, a dozenaire, and now I have a nickel, and and it's just fun. It's not anything that I would stake my life on right now because the market isn't all that stable. But I don't think that the federal government is the way to stabilize it. That's the culture around it will stabilize it on its own. So I'm afraid there's a lot of discussion about regulations, and I think it's more about getting control over it, because right now you have a system of control around bank currency, around federal currency, dollar bills, and the currencies of other countries, where you can be excluded from the currency market, even debanked, prevented from having a job, and so on, preventing from earning currency, and prevented from spending currency. And if the federal government starts taking control of digital currency, that takes one more step toward federal control over your ability to trade. So your ability to go to the grocery store and buy groceries, your ability to get a car, your ability to have a job and get paid, rent an apartment, pay a mortgage on a house. It's something to watch. It's not necessarily good or bad right now because we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. So he also says he's going to end DEI. Now, that's diversity, equity, inclusion, which is essentially affirmative action, which is discriminatory in its very nature. But he's only going to do it at the federal level because that's the only that's the only place he can affect that change. But that's still good because technically, the government is the place that really should not be discriminating. Like, individuals can if they want to. We already have a free market that would obviously adapt to said discrimination if they chose to do that. But the state, as an unaccountable entity, should not do that. So it makes, if they were ever doing that, which they obviously were, they shouldn't be doing that. That doesn't mean that DEI is dead, though, because I have seen people saying that, woke is over, DEI is dead. That's not true. They're just going to rebrand. They're just going to go covert. It's just it's just like what they did with with Bridge, but also what they did with these colleges, right? Like, where they were doing, they ended, the Supreme Court ruled against affirmative action in universities, and that's great. That's but that's more of a litigious victory, but it doesn't mean that colleges are suddenly going to be like not doing that. They're just going to change their practices. They're
Yeah,
going
they
to
had
hide
a
it.
workaround in place as soon as that came out. They had a workaround in place that basically involved asking people to tell life experiences that guided them in their choice to wanting to go to college. And those life experiences then were then gleaned for information about the person's racial background, their religious background, their gender, everything else, their sex, and that was used to discriminate just the same.
All right, now here's where we get into the handmaid's tale stuff, okay?
Boy.
Abortion. All women from now on have to get pregnant and stay pregnant forever. No, that's not. Actually, wait, I misread that. My eyesight's going. Like most Republican presidents before him, Trump is expected to reinstate the Mexico City policy, which bans federal aid to international groups that provide abortion counseling. So, like, basically, he's going to try and take the federal support out of things like Planned Parenthood, which probably get a lot of freaking money. Let's be real.
Yeah.
He is also
Apparently-
what?
Sorry to interrupt. Apparently, the president of Planned Parenthood died the day of brain cancer.
To when? Today? The president of Planned Parenthood died of brain cancer today.
Huh?
That sounds like some Fed shit. Like,
Well,
they activated her trap card.
Feminism is cancer.
Yeah, it is, of the brain.
She must have been infected with it.
Yep.
I guess she got aborted.
Oh! Okay.
I don't wish cancer on anybody, but yeah, if it's got to happen to somebody that's killed that many, by proxy, better than
Yeah.
somebody that's done nothing wrong.
All right, so, and then it says, he is also expected to reinstate an abortion rule that prohibits Title IX federal health providers, a low-income family planning program, from mentioning abortion to patients. This would effectively strip millions of dollars from organizations that offer abortion or provide referrals. So, that again, working within his limits as president, because it's all federal stuff. But it's interesting that I didn't know that Title IX was involved with this. So Title IX federal health providers. Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah.
So every university has a women's center now. Every big university has a women's center now. Most of them don't have men's centers, by the way. And if you try to start one, you might get harassed out of your university. But most of them have women's centers, and that's the main goal of the women's center, is to provide abortions or provide access to abortions to college girls. But they also go and talk to high school girls about abortion. So there's quite a bit there. But honestly, Title IX, I know he can't do it with an executive order, but Title IX needs to go altogether. Yeah. There should be no Title IX. It's done. Everything that was an original goal of the creation of Title IX has been accomplished, and it's had nothing but mission creep since the 70s, and it really it needs to go. There should not be a Title IX.
Anybody else? Abortion?
I don't need one.
Title IX?
Bueller? Okay. Changes to the military. Back pay to the unvaccinated.
Yes.
So Trump is he's promised during his speech to reinstate the 8,000 military service members who were discharged due to the Pentagon's COVID vaccine mandate with full back pay.
What?
It's going to be expensive, but you're going to want some soldiers that aren't going to have a coincidence on the battlefield. You know what I mean?
That's pretty awesome, actually. That's vindication for the unvaccinated, at least and at the level, again, that he's able to operate. Wow. What do you think about that?
I'm glad to see it. The military has experimented on our soldiers quite a bit. There have been, this is not the first drug that has been inflicted against soldiers' will. This time they knew, that it was done to them. This isn't the first time the U.S. military has used soldiers as guinea pigs for vaccines. It's not the first time they've been used for medical experimentation, even after it became blatantly illegal. So it's good to see some recourse for the soldiers this time around that were punished for refusing to participate.
Agreed.
Okay. All right.
This is all good.
This is all good.
I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
Okay, he's going to end woke ideology. His inaugural address also included a vow to end woke ideology in the military and to ensure that its mission was focused on defeating America's enemies. Yeah, it's almost like the military has a very specific function, and it's not like spreading fucking queer theory throughout the Middle East. Like, they're not gonna... I know they don't like that, but it's not a weapon. At least not to your enemies. It's to at home. Okay, foreign policy. America first. That's it. That's it. He's going to have an America first foreign policy. This order could reportedly include large cuts to U.S. foreign aid. Oh, well.
but you know, the one place that they will not cut funding to is Israel.
That's true. Well, that's true.
That's true.
But I will say that's true. But I think the conversation around that is changing very fast, and it's becoming like impossible to ignore. But at the very least, if like the way that we're getting ripped off by European countries, by Canada, by South American countries, you know, I think that we can make up for a lot of that with the stuff that Zelensky's been taking. So, I think that inevitably, yeah, I mean, we are the bill will come due. So, I agree with you though, Lauren. I know it's going to be that's like a really difficult thing to change,
much
but
nut to crack.
We can't do that overnight. That's been going on since like, you know, the late 1800s, or at least like the early 1900s.
If we could at least just stop selling weapons to both sides of that conflict, that would be one step forward. You know, like why are we doing that?
Yeah. No, John Doe, we're not now realizing. It's just not really the focus of this show. We knew. Okay. We are noticers. All right. Next, Cuba and Venezuela. Trump could use executive orders to undo Biden's recent decision to remove Cuba from the U.S. list of state sponsors of terrorism. He could also reinstate sanctions against Venezuela. Both countries were frequent targets of his ire. Well, no, both countries were a thorn in our side, and that's not targets of ire. Gulf of America. Let's do that. And among Trump's first executive orders will be one that directs the Secretary of the Interior to change the names of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. Yeah, I'm down with that. I mean, I just think that's a very bigly thing to do.
Yeah, no, but people are getting so upset about that, and I don't understand why. Like it's well, he should be putting more effort into fixing America. Well, who cares? Like, really, who cares? If you change the name, it takes, what, 2 seconds?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It really should not have this much of an impact on people the way it is. But, God, they're just so upset that at anything that he does. You know, it's fascinating. It really is.
Yeah, I agree.
Don't let us catch you dead naming the Gulf of America.
I mean, it doesn't make sense because, like, literally, like, it's a gulf in America. America's not our country. America is the continents.
Yeah, and it's like the whole continent is the Americas. From north to south, that includes America, right? It includes Mexico. So
yeah, but we use it more than they do. Like, whatever. So it's a small thing, but I think that what I've noticed about Trump in particular is that for him, these symbolic things are very meaningful.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's why he does. Like, yeah, is it going to change our economy? No. But how hard is it to just change the name? I don't really know.
Yeah.
Somebody going to sue? Is that Russian? I mean, not Russian. That Mexican president going to complain? No, get out of here. They're already like bending the knee, really. Mm-hmm. All right. So TikTok. I don't know. Like, okay, I'll read this. I don't really have thoughts on this. I mean, you're either on the Chinese app or you're on the other Chinese app. So, like, I don't see the big deal. But the looming ban, before his inauguration, Trump has promised to issue an executive order postponing the implementation of a law banning Chinese-owned social media platform TikTok. TikTok welcomed this and restored U.S. services after briefly switching them off. And some people lost their freaking minds. Like, TikTok influencers went crazy.
Yeah.
That was like all of their livelihoods. But while he had previously backed a ban, indicated he had reversed his stance after his campaign videos attracted billions of views.
Oh my gosh. So
also those English translations of Hitler's speeches were probably a big thing too. But
when it comes to the idea of the TikTok ban, like the federal government really only has any reason to take action if TikTok is being used to get something from the American people illegally that American apps are not also doing. And I haven't been a really big fan of TikTok. I decided eventually to try it out just to see, if I could actually do better on TikTok than I had on YouTube. So I made an account with the email address that actually has my name in it that I use for a lot of other things. And I just went through the process, named my account, didn't do anything, like post anything, and immediately got a notification that I was banned for several violations of the platform's social media policy, extended social media policy, things I probably said on Twitter or Facebook or something like that, I'm assuming. So it's not an ideal platform probably for a lot of political people, but it's not illegal for them to do that. And I don't think banning the platform is the way to address that. But it is a way to address if they're trying to steal your banking information. But I would warn most people, if you think that taking TikTok off of your phone or keeping it off of your phone makes your phone safe, it probably came with Google apps, several Google apps on it. Google is tracking everything you do. Mm-hmm. It probably came with Facebook on it, probably came with Facebook Messenger. Facebook is tracking everything you do. If it didn't come with either of those on there, you're still being tracked by both companies. And every time you see an ad on your phone, it's because of tracking that your phone does. Not just tracking of your whereabouts and the things that you do, the things that you talk about in text messages and everything, but it's your conversations are being listened to. This isn't something that is new information. We've been talking about this for at least 5 years, possibly more, probably more. I think we were talking about this as far back as 2014, that this stuff had started happening with smartphones. And so it's really a question of whether or not the app is more dangerous than what American companies are doing. And if that's the case, it's really more your job to be vigilant about that. Maybe, don't put the app on your phone if you're concerned about that, and let people make their own decisions for themselves. And and unless it's being used for espionage or again like theft, there's really not a good excuse for the federal government to ban it, whether it's a good app or not.
Yeah. I do love that he did it because of all the views he got. I could just see him saying, yeah, I saw that. I'm going to read it in a second. Well, there's nothing to read, but yeah, he said, I got billions of views. I think I'm going to keep it up a little while longer. Yeah. It helped me win. I actually don't hate TikTok anymore. Although he might take different kinds of measures so that it's not a Chinese spy app, but I don't know. We'll see. All right, and then we get to the good stuff. I think this is the best news. First of all, he's going to free the January 6 hostages, or at least look into all of the January 6 hostages, of which there are many, and they did not get a trial. They were simply thrown in jail, some of them in solitary confinement, and they have been there since 2021, right? So this is obviously a travesty of justice. So I'll read it in more detail. Trump is preparing to issue sweeping pardons for many of those charged in the January 6th riot at the U.S. Capitol building in 2021 and commute the sentences of those who attacked police, U.S. media reports. He has repeatedly referred to those arrested as hostages and has said that he is inclined to pardon many of them. More than 1,500 individuals were arrested in relation to this event. At least 600 were charged with assaulting or impeding federal officers. With the new administration now in charge, the Justice Department will reportedly be directed to dismiss the cases that have not yet gone to trial. So there are people being held without trial and have been for 4 years. So, Mike, what do you think about that?
Well, bear in mind you can pardon someone if they've been convicted of a crime. Unlike the J6 committee, who haven't committed it, apparently haven't been They haven't been charged with any crimes, and yet they've all been pardoned. It's this weird topsy-turvy world. In fact, several people who have never been charged with a crime have been pardoned for up to 14 years ago.
So.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, I believe Dr. Fauci got pardoned for jaywalking or something. I mean, well, we don't know what the crime is, but there's a pardon. It's like a lifelong one.
It's from 2014 onwards, which happens to be when the American government started funding the Wuhan lab.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that's a coincidence.
Yeah, that's
And
yeah.
so maybe none of these pardons actually count. Plus, they were signed by a man who's clearly demented.
It's distinctly possible that there's a route to undo those pardons, but even if that's not the case, like the most important thing in response to the J6 travesty isn't really punishing the politicians that were involved. It is tearing down the system that they used to commit all of their crimes in the first place, right? And earlier, there was a discussion about the J6 hostages that they were going to go on a case-by-case basis and investigate whether they actually did anything or not. And I can't remember who was doing the live stream, but I commented on that okay, if they're going to do that, then they should go through those cases and every process crime that has been committed against those defendants, because there were many process crimes that violated their due process rights. Not just simple things of filing the wrong charge for the wrong crime either. It was filing false charges, supporting false charges with false evidence, withholding exculpatory evidence, holding them for a long period without a trial, denying them their right to a speedy trial. You know, like all of the things that you're not allowed to do to American citizens in the court system when they are on trial for something. And these were done to not just one or two people, but hundreds. People who had a lot of people who had done nothing but walk between velvet ropes in the tourist areas of the White House after the doors were open. So yeah, if they're not going to be able to do that, and they're not going to be able to go back and investigate who committed crimes against the J6 hostages, then there should be a broad sweeping pardon that lets all of them off the hook. Because we do know that those process crimes were committed, and we don't know that any of them are guilty of anything, because they never really got a fair trial. So that's the best solution. And the same thing with regard to Fauci. As much as I want to be a woman about it, as much as I want revenge for what this man did, not just to my country but to my family, it's the same thing. I want to see the system that he used to do that torn to shreds. And it's not just because I'm angry about this happening. It's because I don't want it to happen to anybody else ever again. And the only way to do that is to go through and find out what made this possible and remove that so that it can't be used again. So that's what really needs to be focused on. You could get revenge in a lot of different ways, right? And sometimes the best revenge is to make the villain powerless and let them live and see their lack of power for the rest of their lives.
Anybody else? Did you already say something? I forgot. Okay, about that. Lauren, did you want to say
I
anything?
forgot what was the
J6ers being
oh, the
released.
J6. Yeah, no,
Fauci
it's I can't believe that those poor people have been suffering for this long. It's they should just be released from prison. I don't even care if they attack the police. Obviously, at this point, it's just an injustice that's being done to these people, and we need to let them go.
Yeah, I mean, like if you were put in jail without a trial, that was already like they're in the wrong.
Yeah.
You know, like they should be let go based on that. But we'll see. We'll see. I think that a lot of people are going to be like getting out very fast, very quickly. All right. So
We
Lindsay,
have
what the hell?
a chat. It's not a super chat, but
Oh yeah, somebody sent $9.99. Who was that?
yeah, that's a super.
There was
chat.
no comment, but it just says
Overt
Overt
Otter.
Otter. Thank you, Overt Otter, for the $9.99. If you meant to send something with that, I do see there. I guess there's a
I
message
don't
you
know
can
if that's a
open
message.
within that. Do you
That
see
might
it?
be-
Like
yeah,
somebody
it says
wrote-
buy your own, but that might be YouTube saying buy your own super chat.
Shut up, you two.
Yeah. But
Shut up, Meg.
No, the one I actually wanted to respond to, just because somebody said, "Hey, yo, Badgers, it's nice to see you." It was Mekbeb Tamrat said, "Hey, yo, Badgers, it's nice to see you together. Sad that Karen and Allison are not there. They're here in spirit. It's freezing. Canadian Land didn't send the ladies down to see us, but it did send its weather."
Well, this. I think that we're going to be doing more in-person things.
Yeah.
I suspect, and that like what's going on in the White House and all that is part of it. But I do think that we're like, I get the sense that we're coming out of like a dark period. It was like you said, we went into a wormhole in 20.
Yeah.
Experienced 100 years in 4.
Yeah, exactly. But I feel like there's like there's gonna be more opportunities for us to hang out and do content again. Overt Otter gave another $9.99. Thank you, Overt Otter. And he says, "Oops, here's some more money. What do you think will be the most important and sensitive foreign policy agenda for Trump? Also, what's y'all's favorite holiday?" Well, I will say in short, the most important sensitive foreign policy agenda, it's got to be Israel. I mean, I don't know what else. It's the one thing that I think that what's going on with Russia and Ukraine, there is an interesting history there, and I think that's going to be a challenge. But I think that Trump's going to just end the war. But I think that when it comes to what the Middle East, it's not. It's just like the history of us doing stuff there. I think he wants to get away from that. I think it's going to be difficult. I think there are people in our own government that want those forever wars to continue, and they are invested in that. It has to do with things like expansion. It's about, just sort of like painting over a mistake with like a larger coat of. You ever painted a room and then someone scuffs part of the wall and you go to patch that little spot up, and then you have the same paint. You have it in your closet. You paint over it, but you can see the spot. Like that's and it doesn't match, right? That's the thing. Like, so you end up having to paint a bigger area and then a bigger area, and then suddenly you have to paint the whole wall. Otherwise, then no one knows that it was ever changed. Then no one knows that it was ever painted over. So that's what I think. Thank you for that. And what's your favorite holiday? What's your favorite holiday?
I don't have favorites, so you don't ask me questions about what your favorite things are. But as for foreign policies, I would very much like to see Trump invade Britain. when you're done with Greenland and Canada and the Panama Canal, just send the boys over. You're skilled workers. Skilled work. That's not an invasion. Don't worry. It's a totally different thing. But just send the boys over and make us 4 of the 50 states. But if you plus Canada and Greenland, make it around 70 states. The flag would be a hell of a mess.
Get a whole new flag.
Yeah.
It's just going to be his face.
My country
the mugshot.
My country has completely collapsed. It's being run by evil clowns. I'd just like you to roll the tanks in and murder them all and make us part of the United States. And then I won't even have to migrate because it'll already be in the same country. Thank you.
That's great.
If you let the evil clowns stay in charge of your economy long enough, we'll just be able to buy it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Same. I like your Israel answer. I would have to agree with that. As far as favorite holidays, I don't have one because I never get holidays off. I only get like the big 6 holidays off. Everyone has all these federal holidays, and I'm like, what do you mean you're off of work? What is this? What is this thing that you don't have to go to work?
Yeah.
I'm always at work except for the Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving, Memorial Day, Labor Day,
I work all those holidays,
and 4th of July. Those are the only days that I don't have
Trump
to work.
Inaugurations.
Yeah.
But they're not
Well,
very
no,
popular.
I still have to. I took the day off.
You get the occasional.
Yeah.
If we go by my history, I'd have to say Halloween because Halloween gives you a chance to be creative. I never buy costumes; I make costumes. Like one year, I stapled old lottery tickets all over an old-fashioned nightgown with one of those robes and everything, and called myself the Ghost of a Chance. So that's like me. Halloween is a big deal for me because of stuff like that. But if you go by right now, this is the first time I've taken off work to do something other than deal with an emergency or a tragedy in 4 years since I went to ICMI. So I took off work to go to ICMI 14, which means I took off work to work.
Yeah.
I took off work to work. And I work the holidays. You can't. There's no pause button on disabilities. So I take care of people with disabilities for a living. So I work on holidays. So.
Well, mine is the 4th of July, America. I mean, I like the 4th of July. It's in the summer. You get to barbecue. There's fireworks. Around here, they're beautiful. And I'm a patriot, so maybe Lent is second or Pascha, but that's it. So anyway, only now. I didn't like Easter before, but I do now. Yeah. What's yours?
I always loved Easter.
See, the thing is, I didn't have the same experience with Easter that you had. But yeah, I like the 4th of July. So anyway, okay. So we got the last one, at least on this list. There's probably gonna be a lot more. JFK assassination. I think this is going to be super interesting. So he wants to unseal secret documents. At a rally on Sunday, Trump said he would release classified documents related to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy in 1963, a subject of countless conspiracy theories, as well as the 1968 killings of Senator Robert Kennedy and civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. By the way, today is Martin Luther King Day.
Can I just say?
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't care. I don't care. You know what I want him to release? The motherfucking Epstein list. That's what I want him to release. Okay? I did. How long ago did those people die? I mean, sure, we want to know what happened. I think the government did it. You know, so that's to me. It's just open and shut, just like that. Screw all that. Release that goddamn Epstein list.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's more than just that, the Diddy list and so many others.
Yeah, well, there's probably a lot of overlap.
Yeah.
There is a guy on X, and I can't think of his name. Somebody's going to know it in the chat, but I cannot think of his name off the top of my head, who has essentially, through a lot of detective work, a lot of real investigative journalism, he has figured out the Epstein list, and he has released it. You know, the list that hasn't been released. And I mean, we kind of have an idea of the Diddy list too, because they all told on themselves for years before the incident. The list of senators and congressmen that used that slush fund for hushing up allegations of sexual misconduct in the Capitol.
Yeah.
That's the list I want. I want to know who used that fund, who paid people to keep quiet about sexual liaisons that they felt that would smear them if people knew about it. Because those are people who are supposed to be only there to represent us. They have a job to do there. They can have their private lives at home. They don't need to be engaging in... And the other thing is, there is a federal policy that bans that kind of behavior in your workplace and my workplace. And there are men who have been falsely accused under that policy or abused under that policy by their coworkers. And these guys get to pay somebody to shut up about it when they do it or they get accused of doing it. They don't even bother accessing due process. They just use this money. And I want to know who did. I want to know who thought that you don't deserve due process and you don't deserve to have your job protected because a woman at your workplace doesn't like you and wants to say that you did something, or because a woman in your workplace was uncomfortable with something that you did. But they can, grab their interns' butts and whatever and then turn around and pay some money and not have any repercussions at all. Like, those people's names should come out. That's something people should be voting on the basis of, whether or not they want that person to go back into office after they know that about them.
All right. I'm with you on the Epstein client list. I'm not sure if, I guess it depends on who's holding on to it, but yeah, I'm with you on that. So all of that sounds pretty fashy. I mean, I don't know. I think we're cooked. America's cooked. We're gonna have like potentially, economic independence, our own energy, some fair trade deals. We're not gonna be involved in forever wars. We're not gonna be funding everybody else's bullshit. We're gonna be bringing back jobs, hopefully, and it sounds that just sounds like straight up Mussolini, Stalin. No, not Stalin.
John
he was really
Doe
good
says
guy.
the person I was talking about that released the list was Ryan Dawson.
Ryan Dawson.
Yeah, Ryan Dawson.
That's
Dawson's
weird.
the
Like,
one
I'm
who
not getting.
released
Is your chat still
Yeah, it's
populating?
still moving. It's still
Mine is
populating.
not. I can't. I thought people left. I'm like, oh shit. Do we?
Nope, I'm still seeing moving messages.
My phone
so.
sucks.
I'm not even in the state where I have cell service. Well, I mean, I'm sure Cricket's here too, but
Cricket
yeah, they're cheap.
takes me back. No, I know. That's like, mint.
I'm not spending a bunch of money on. Like, what do I need from bigger companies? So yeah, I have Cricket.
Yeah, I can't look at them anymore.
Although
But
they are owned by I think AT&T owns them. So.
So yeah, I mean, obviously, like this just happened. I'm sure that artificial wombs and Handmaid's Tale's right around the corner, and we're just not seeing the subversion beneath the subversion, because it was all. No, I'm serious, man. There are people who are like,
oh yeah, I know.
This is a subversion within a subversion. Obviously, when he was shot, that was all planned.
Yeah.
Somebody, like, you ever see the movie Wanted? Yeah, like they could bend bullets. Like, that's what it was. They did it on purpose to make it look like an accident. But, I don't know. Like, final thoughts on this, and also, like, on your experience, like, hanging out this weekend. What do you think, Hannah?
Well, obviously the weather's not cooperating with us, so I haven't got the planning for it started yet, but when I do the mixed up meetup, which is basically a meetup for anyone that's Badger adjacent. It doesn't matter whether you like us because you're an MRA or you like us because you participated in the Gamergate controversy with us, or if you agree with us on some aspects of politics and you listen to us because of that. Sometime in the warm part of the year when we don't have a bunch of snow on the ground and it's not freezing cold and the roads are not going to be a giant slushy, there will be a meetup announced called the Mixed Up Meetup in the Dayton, Ohio metro area. Haven't picked a venue yet. I got a couple of ideas. We usually meet up at the Wright-Patterson Air Force Museum and then go someplace else from there after looking around the museum a bit, because we are primarily men's rights activists, and we do like to go in there and talk about some of the history of men in the military and what they've accomplished and what they've been through. But when I'm ready to make an announcement on that, then you'll hear about it on HBR News and you'll hear about it on HBR Talk. So you'll probably see something in the next couple of months where I make that announcement. And so that's basically my take on this whole thing is because the weather pretty much thwarted all of our plans and changed everything we were going to do after everything was all set up and you can't turn back the clock on it. I'm hoping for like round 2 basically of the Badger meetup.
Yeah, I think we're going to see more of that. What about you, Lauren? How was your weekend? It was lovely. I already mentioned hanging out with your aunt. There, she's super based. Thank you.
I love her.
Like, unfathomably, she was wearing so much Trump shit. She was like a walking ad.
Yeah.
But anyway, go ahead.
I had a blast. I always love hanging out with you guys. I haven't seen Hannah since 2019. Was it 2019?
Yep.
Yeah, 2019 for ICMI. And it's just always great to get together. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm stuck in Connecticut with nobody around. But just hop in a car and come down and see you guys is great. The weather sucked. It really screwed up all of the plans. But we made do. We
Here
still
we are.
got together anyway, and we're making the best of it. I'm thrilled that this day came. I did not think that Trump was going to get back in. So just even to be sitting here and talking about this and having him as our 47th president again, it's words cannot describe how happy I am.
So relief is one that
It
comes
really
on.
is. It really is. Yeah, and going to see my aunt, because my mom is a super lefty. I don't even understand how I came out of that woman.
Everyone's mother is a super lefty.
Yeah.
Not mine.
Not Hannah's. Not Hannah's.
No, my mom was a diehard Republican.
Yeah.
After Reagan's first term. After Reagan's first. She was a Reagan
Right.
Democrat. So, yeah, she was a diehard Republican after that.
Mike, did you have fun?
Yeah, this is an extended vacation for me. Cross DC off the list of capitals that look exactly the same as all the other cities anyway. So.
Did you see any of the buildings, like the actual
We walked past Ford's Theatre. That's
Yeah.
quite famous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where
I don't even know what that looks like. I wanted
really
to see
narrow.
I wanted to see the phallus and the Lincoln Memorial and the White House and the Capitol building and those things. I wanted to see that.
You
But
have
we'll have to go when it's warmer and there's no massive crowds.
That's a good idea.
You have to
Yeah.
go when there's not so much military presence and with all the roads shut down, because it's difficult to get anywhere, because they just don't want people around.
Yeah, no, I get it.
So
I mean, I get it. I didn't have my. Not that I was gonna bring my machete collection with me, but because I get that they get a little testy around Latinos and their knives. I get that, but anyway, Mike, I'm sorry. I interrupted you.
no, I was done.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Just let's fucking go.
Yes,
Yeah.
LFG. That's
Fuck
for
yeah.
sure. One other thing I was gonna say just came in. This is from InfoWars, so who knows if it's true. No, but Alex Jones says, video, Putin congratulates Trump on his presidential inauguration and welcomes his efforts to prevent World War III. Says he's ready to dialogue about the Ukrainian conflict. No, either that means we're already winning and we're ending the war in Ukraine, or Russia.
Well,
So-
actually, I think the only reason that World War III didn't start after Biden gave Ukraine permission to bomb Russia was because Trump had already been elected, and Putin knew that he had an opportunity still to prevent World War III.
Well, yeah, I don't think anybody wants that. Okay, Jojo, do you have any thoughts? Jojo,
yeah, he wants more.
Jojo, do you want to say
He
anything?
really seems to
Here,
like
let me
these
see this.
These delicious
He
concepts.
loves these. Jojo, you gotta sit, okay? I'm gonna give you one. I want you to chill. All right, high five. High five. What? Do it again. Do it again. High five. Okay. All right. That'll do. Well, I can't because I'm holding the thing.
Yeah.
All right. Any other super chats or comments or anything? We should wrap this up.
Gin Bottle gives him a high five too. He's got that
Oh.
little hand symbol up.
And if you have a problem with that, come fight me physically, bitch. All right. Well, I guess that's it. I mean, I think we'll see where it goes from there. Oh, you notice that Elon was taking a peek at the woman next to him? Like, he's like, not Elon, I'm sorry, Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah.
Very big difference
Like,
there.
becoming more of a man every time I see him.
Yeah.
He's actually noticing cleavage.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But
Neurons
then,
activated.
but like the T800 series was like more believable than the 600s. They had rubber skin, and you could spot them. If you got a little close. So we'll have to
Yeah.
see.
Honestly, I'm not holding my breath. I'm not holding my breath on Zuckerberg and what he's going to be in the future. But if he decides to have a redemption arc, I'm here for it. That'll be fun to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it was just really funny. I don't really have any opinions on
Well,
that.
listen, Jeff Bezos needs to tell his girlfriend to put her tits away. Okay, that was. I'm sorry, that was a.
Is it an inauguration not an appropriate? I think
Oh.
an inauguration is an appropriate place for tits if you have them.
Free the tatas.
Yeah, just just give us a
I'm
little.
outranked here.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I'm just a gooner then. All right, but anyway, we're gonna wrap the show
We did
up
get
there.
something here.
Oh, we did. Okay, cool. What is it?
Gabriel Phelan Lucas. It says member for 3 months. Seed says nice shirt. Brian, vote Valentine.
Oh yeah, right. This is nerdy as shit, so I'm not gonna explain it. But it's a reference. All right. Anyway, we're gonna wrap it up there. Thanks, guys, for coming out this weekend. It was we made the most of it, but I enjoyed myself. And but we gotta get out of here because Hannah and company have a long drive.
Yeah, I'm driving back to Dayton tonight.
Yeah, so it's gonna be crazy. It's
For
gonna be
Roanoke.
super late, and it's already super dark.
Yeah.
So anyway, thanks guys for coming on the show. If you like this video, did I just do the? Oops.
No,
Don't clip that, guys. Don't. If you like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, leave us a comment. Let us know what you guys think about what we discussed on the show today. And please share this video because sharing is caring. We're going to see if this stays up without if the algorithm doesn't come after us. So thank you guys for coming on today's episode of this, what did I call it? Something Palooza. And we'll talk to you guys in the next one. Let me just close it out here. See you later, guys.
Word.
Extravaganzapalooza.
It should have been an emergency meeting.
But you gotta hit stop streaming.
I will, but I wanted to usually give it like a little bit of a
Yeah.
grace period.